Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Nancy, and I'm here just talking a little bit about what I learned from my husband's death, what I lost from his death. I'll start out with my story. My husband died when he was 57 years old. At the time, I was 48 years old. He had gotten lung cancer, became very, very sick, was off probably for one solid year he lasted. We did a lot of chemo. We did pretty much everything that we could do to keep him alive. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way. But what I want to say to people is that what I lost during that time, and this may help somebody, um, because I know when I lost my husband, people didn't want to talk about it. They knew I was devastated, but they just did not want to talk about it. I lost so many friends during this, couple friends. There's only one girl that I still talk to because, of course, nobody wants a third wheel. I wasn't invited to the New Year's Eve parties, to the, basketball parties, to the any of the parties. They pretty much eliminated me. So that was one of the big things that I lost. I lost a lot of good friendships, friends that I thought would be friends forever. Just because my husband was gone, I thought it meant nothing, but apparently it did. Um, I lost his income, of course. It took about almost 1 year. I applied for disability when he was sick, and it took almost a full year before I got any payment. In fact, I got the payment a week before he died. They did pay me back pay. I was raising two kids at the time, a daughter in college, and my son was 17 at the time. So it was very hard on them too. My children were also devastated. But I took a year off um, to be with him. I had decided that my career was nothing compared to losing him. And he was my school sweetheart. I mean, I got married at 18. He was my world. We did everything together. And he was a kind man. He had the patience of a saint, a great father, a good provider. But these are some of the things that people don't understand what you lose when you lose a spouse. I lost my handy guy. This guy, I mean, did everything. He could fix a dishwasher. He could do anything, okay? And I lost that. I lost his income. I lost the health insurance. Um, I just lost everything. I lost my best partner. I actually, after this happened, people, didn't think I was going to make it through it. But I learned to survive. I went through days of so much darkness, where I didn't actually get out of bed. And I was selling real estate prior to this, and I thought I could go back to work. I tried to go back to work, but every time I would go show a home, I would just feel jealous. I feel like, oh, this is a happy couple, and I was very, very jealous. So I decided I couldn't do that anymore. And then I went through the whole year of basically doing nothing. I didn't know what day it was. I didn't get out of my pajamas. I wasn't there for my kids. Um, and I had a lot of guilt, a lot of guilt. Did I do the right thing? Um, I was financially drained because our insurance didn't pay for a lot of his treatment. I had to pay for his shots myself, which were $6,000 every week. It went from his lung to his brain, and my insurance only wanted to give him full brain radiation, and the doctor didn't think it was good. She thought it would like blow his complete brain out. So I chose to pay myself and get like a proton, one of these new things at the time were out there. It didn't help him either. But we tried everything. We tried everything. We went to natural doctors, everything. I think he did live a little bit longer because we went to like some of these natural doctors, and I think they kept him living a little bit longer. And during that time, while he was sick, I took him on vacation, even though he was so sick. I mean, he was in a wheelchair probably the last 6 weeks. He had to have a stent put in his brain. But it was just the journey of all of it. Death is so painful, and people just don't have a clue of people on the outside, I don't blame them because I never knew what it was like either. I never did. And I look back now of things that I have learned from it. And I would say that I have a greater appreciation for life. I've learned that I don't take things for granted. Of course, everybody has the old saying, you don't know what you have till it's gone. And that is definitely 100%. You know, um, could I have treated him better through the years? Of course, But did I take him for granted? Yes, he was the perfect. He was the perfect guy. But you know, we loved each other. Let's put it that way, and it worked for us. But I think that a lot of people go through guilt after somebody dies. A lot of it, and that's something that they have to put aside. But I think what helped me the most was I did join a grieving group to make me feel like I wasn't the only one out there. I never realized how many people lost their husbands in the age of 50. And at that time, it's very shocking because you're planning for your future, you're planning for your retirement, you're planning when your kids leave the house. It was supposed to be a glorious time for us. Um, and I felt like I was left with nothing, nothing. I was so mad at God, I can't even tell you. I'm Catholic, and I just couldn't even bear the thought of going into a church. But there came that time where I became so desperate that I prayed every day that I would make it through another day. And luckily, the grief counselor that I had was so good, and she actually saved me. She saved me. Um, she helped me take those steps, and the people that were in my support group were the men, women, people that lost their child. I realized I'm not the only one, and I had to get past that, and the feeling of feeling sorry for yourself. So that's sort of how I took that step. And then what ended up happening is I ended up getting a job. One day I woke up and my sister had been saying to me, get out of your pajamas, get out of your pajamas. You've got to do something. We don't care what it is, because I was a strong person. And I applied online at Walmart, and they hired me. And they hired me for 20 hours a week doing their online stuff. And I took the job. And I got to tell you, that also gave me a greater appreciation for the other side of life. Because, of course, I thought it was too good. I thought, oh my God, could I ever work for Walmart? But that also gave me a different perspective of how other people lived. Because I also, I had to give up income. I had to give up, I said, pretty much everything. I was very fortunate. Their house was almost paid off, and I was able to, continue working, make the payments on the house till I got it paid off. But I said a lot of people don't understand the process of death and what becomes afterwards. But I said that the few things that I learned was a greater appreciation for life, for time, for people. Maybe something that I was so unaware of. Living in a busy life and thinking I had everything. And when I lost everything, it turned my life around. So I always say, and what I did do was, me and my daughter went to the homeless center, and we fed the homeless on Thursday nights. And I got to tell you, I think it changed her life too. It both gave us a different perspective on life, on people, and that this could happen to anybody. So I tell people all the time, if you're grieving, we can be stuck in grief, but there's a time to come out of it. There has to be. And I know some people never will. Do I think about my husband every day? It's been, 15 years. Of course I do, every day. I'm in a different life now. I am now living with somebody else, not married, and I will never get married again, ever, because he was my soulmate. So, but is there a life after death? Yes, absolutely. It's what we make of it. And do I still enjoy the things that him and I did? Yes, because now I've come to the conclusion that he had the patience of a saint. And God left me with that now. I have a lot of more patience. And I wasn't able, because he was so sick, to live through, what do you want to say, his vision of his life. But now I'm able to. I'm able to see that very, very clearly. He used to say to me, oh, we live right down the street from the park. And he'd say, let's go for a walk. And I'd say, no, I'm too busy. I got to clean. I got to do this. Well, you know what I do every day? I walk. And I enjoy smelling the roses now. So that's my journey on death. And I would love to hear anybody else's, how they made it through it. Maybe it could help somebody else, because I think that, I said, people just don't understand death. And most people are afraid of it. You know, they think, oh, me, or it could happen to my wife or my husband or my child, and they just don't speak about it. So I think that, there's a time that people should come forward to help each other, because I said my support group is why I made it through it. So if this helps you guys, please subscribe and leave any comments, and I'd love to join in a conversation with you. Thank you for visiting my channel. Have a blessed day.